Coming to you live from Candyland, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I think we all think the podcast was a nice idea, but not pointing any fingers, it could have been done better. So how about nothing fancy this time, but next time we do the podcast right and we go full regalia. Along with me on my journey today, not wearing hoods. First, DCHRIS, the D is silent, it's Chris.
Frost.
And secondly, a man whose name has Panas, it's Andy.
Hey, hello, Pass.
Pana. I think it was pronounced Panas in the film upon learning the word. We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can find us wherever you get podcasts. I think that's generally everywhere now. So if you listen to podcasts, you can find
because
us in
we're
the podcast
international.
app. Exactly. 10 Point Podcast on all podcast apps. Please give us likes, give us reviews, give us rates, thumbs ups, and all that sort of stuff on all your different podcast apps, and subscribe. And you can get us on YouTube, where you are now watching the video version if you are choosing to do so, at 10 Point Podcast on there as well. So just type in all the letters, there's no numbers, just 10 Point Podcast everywhere. And we have 10pointpodcast.com. What with cinemas being open again and all that sort of stuff, lots of reviews going up there and other articles and specials too. Anything in particular to look at this week, Andy?
Aye, The Quiet Place. I was meant to go to the unlimited screen, but I forgot. So there'll be one up. There'll be one up later on. By the time you're listening to this, it'll already be on the website.
I see. And by the time you listen to this, I will be able to go to a cinema, but probably won't have yet gone to a cinema. But I do intend to, because as of like right now, when you're watching or listening, I can access cinemas to be able to see new films. Although some of them are only at late times at night now, so I'm going to struggle to get to see Spiral because it's really dropped its showings in my cinemas around this area. But
it's not even open yet in your cinema. How could it drop? How could it drop? It's not even open.
I mean, it was everywhere, and then the cinemas were, actually you can't open, and then it's, we can't open again. Okay, Spiral's on at 10 to 10 every night or something, maybe 10 past 9 or something every night. And it's only every day of the week is one showing in my cinema, and it's 10 past 9 at night, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. And I keep trying, I'll do a double header, no other film lines up to finish at 9 o'clock to go watch it. So at some point I will get to see all these films, but I'm going back. What have we been watching last week then, Andy? You forgot to see A Quiet Place. Have you seen anything else this week?
I watched Unholy, which is another one of these random films that went into the cinema, starring, what's he called? Negan from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan? Hi.
Yeah, that's it.
Sounds close enough, if not right. Yeah.
Him. And yeah, it's not great. That's my
I
review.
see. That's a good review. Any other new ones or any other old ones for you, Andy? Or
No, it's been too hot. I've been out sunbathing. It's been roasting.
Sunbathing. Barbecue weather means less movies. What about you, Chris? What have you watched in the last week?
I watched half a movie. The other night, 12 Years a Slave was on Film 4, so I watched the second half of that.
Did you do a nice double header? A nice double bill of Django?
Yeah, pretty much.
Slave. All right.
So basically what we've found out so far is Chris just gets bored of slavery. Doesn't need it in his life.
No, I was feeding Sam. He was waiting for him to fall asleep. I put the film on, then I took him upstairs and watched the rest of Django.
What a double header.
You might get confused some crossed wires then if you've watched Django and 12 Years a Slave. In the last week, I watched one new film in the last week. It is not something that will appeal to many, but a new documentary. So Alex Ferguson Never Gave In came out this week. It was it came out in cinemas and all that. I watched it on Amazon. It launched on Amazon a couple of days later, I should say. At the half point time of that film, of that documentary, he becomes Man United manager. So if you're a massive Man United fan and you want to see what was it like being at Manchester United when Alex Ferguson was there, it's the first half of the film is about him growing up and living in Glasgow and being a football player and all that, and then it ends at the 1999 Champions League final. So it's literally like the first half of his managerial time at Man United. But it's good enough. It's a documentary. So if you're into football, it's good. But other than that, it didn't especially grab me for the whole thing. A couple of Marvel movies, watched them because I always do stick them on the background. But what I did watch, my big movie watch of last week was, I thought, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch Tenet again and see at home if I can focus on this better and try and follow what's happening, when I can rewind and hear what people are saying, because the sound was better than it was in the cinema, I could actually hear a lot of people talking. I think it was worse this time.
Hey.
I think
Still never seen it, and you're still not selling it to me.
I genuinely think I had less idea of what was going on than I did the first time I watched it. I got
We just know the poops go in reverse.
Right, yes. Yeah, I thought, right, I'm ready for this to be better this time and follow. Nah, I don't get it. I enjoy how evil Kenneth Branagh is in it, but no, I don't get it. And right, I say Robert Pattinson's quite good in it. I know, Andy, that was a big point of contention with you.
I quite liked him. It was that Spanish cunt that didn't like it.
Right, anyway, yeah, he's all right in it. Everybody acts very well in it, and it looks okay and all that, but no, I just don't know what is happening in this film, and it's unnecessarily complicated. So again, it's a thumbs down for me for Tenet, and I like Christopher Nolan's movies. I think that's everyone. We've all had some sort of comment this week, so we better get on with the point of the podcast this week. And the point this week is the 2012 Western drama Django Unchained, brought to us by Columbia Pictures and the Springsteen Company. We'll clearly past that. Written and directed by, and very briefly starring, Quentin Tarantino. First time we ever covered Tarantino, one of the most praised and popular directors of the last 30 years, I guess it would be now. This is the, let me do some quick sums here. I believe it's the 7th film in his I will only ever do 10 films that are written and directed by me, is what he claims. So his films to this point, to the date of recording, are Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, the Death Proof half of the Grindhouse film, Glorious Bastards, Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the 9th as it stands, with only one to go allegedly, but we'll see. There are Tarantino movies that he wrote and directed, but he has definitely written a whole bunch of other ones and produced a whole bunch of other ones. And then one of his known fors on the internet is From Dusk Till Dawn, which he wrote and was in but did not direct. But they are the Tarantino films, and this is, well, of course, we're starting with the 7th one because it's the sort of thing that we do. The film stars Jamie Foxx, known for roles in Collateral, Ray, Dreamgirls, and Django Unchained. Jamie Foxx, he's done a lot. He's been in quite a lot of films in quite a short amount of time. Other than those mentioned, or even those mentioned, if you wish to comment, anything Jamie Foxxy that you want to make a note of before we carry on?
Shit, Robin Hood.
I was going to say Horrible Bosses as Doug motherfucking Jones.
Yeah, he jumps out as Horrible Bosses for me as well. It's one of, to me, the role that kind of sticks with me that he did, other than Django, obviously. What Robin Hood was he in?
That new shit one.
Yeah.
The most recent one.
Yeah.
Like, so, not Russell Crowe, the newer one.
Yeah, the newer one.
Okay.
I think he plays as Tiny Tim or whatever he's called. I don't know what.
Wasn't he a
Little John?
Little John, that's it.
Little John. Yeah, Tiny Tim was a frog, wasn't he?
I don't like Robin Hood. Shite.
Yeah, I've yet to see a good version of Robin Hood. I was never a big fan of the...
there is one. It's coming up at some point.
Oh, well,
there's one good version of Robin Hood.
I watched that when I was younger, didn't enjoy it. I might get it better now. However, it stars Jamie Foxx in the role of Django. However, the role was written for somebody else. It was written for Will Smith, and I believe he personally decided not to do it. Like, his people and his management and all that said that he should do it. But he said he didn't want to do it. I believe because of what the film was about, essentially, was why he didn't want to do it. So
Wild West.
Else is because he wasn't the lead.
Yeah, there's that.
He always felt that somebody else was the lead. He felt Christoph Waltz was the lead.
He thought that Dr. King was the star of the film or something, wasn't it? Yeah. So
if that's the reason, that's pretty fucking selfish.
Exactly. And also, like,
you meant Will Smith, right? That's what he is.
I've written down what I think are like certainly the big films that I recognise that he did after this. So instead of doing this, essentially he did Men in Black 3. It came out around the same sort of time, which better than I thought it was going to be. But the big films that Will Smith did after this were After Earth, Focus, Concussion, Suicide Squad, Collateral Beauty, coincidentally, after Jamie Foxx was in Collateral, Bright, which was straight to Netflix, Aladdin, Gemini Man, and then most recently Bad Boys for Life.
What a film.
He could have maybe have done with being in this film even if he wasn't the star, because it's not a super duper kind of credits that he has afterwards.
He wasn't even the star in fucking After Earth. His son was.
And he certainly wasn't in Aladdin either.
No.
He's a genie. Genie is the star.
it's maybe the best character, not necessarily the star. But yeah, Will Smith was supposed to be Django, but in the end didn't want to do it. We touched on him there. Christoph Waltz, also in Django Unchained, came to international kind of fruition, as it were, with Inglourious Basterds, the other Tarantino film from a couple of years earlier. His other big credits are Carnage, Django, of course, and then The Zero Theorem. I haven't heard of a couple of them. Carnage, I believe, nothing to do with Spider-Man or Venom. But any other Christoph Waltz films that you can think of?
Nah, he just pops up in things. He's pretty good,
isn't he?
Yeah, he plays Blofeld. Yeah, in the James Bonds. And for me, I thought Andy might have mentioned Alita Battle Angel, because I think you quite.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good in that.
He's kind of like the dad person.
He's the best thing in that.
Yeah, exactly. He quite often is the best thing in things that he is in.
He was the best thing in Inglourious Basterds, other than that one line. It was in English that I understood.
Not the best film for you with your subtitles there, Andy. No?
Hence
Sean. I didn't start with that when it came to Tarantino.
Sean forced me to go with this, going, "Oh, you'll love it. It's got Nazis and it's got killing and stuff in it. And it's got Brad Pitt. Oh, you'll love it. Get in there." They didn't speak English for about 2 hours. 2 motherfucking hours.
I think, yeah, Brad Pitt barely speaks like a foreign language. There's a bit of a funny Italian, but other than that, he'd be fine. Yeah, everybody else is titled throughout, really, apparently. And yes, third person starring, Leonardo DiCaprio, essentially one of the biggest and bestest film stars of all time. Mentioned Sean. I know Sean loves Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a big fan of his. So what he is listed as being famous for are Titanic, The Departed, and Inception.
Dead.
Is he dead in Inception? I guess he maybe is dead in Inception. I can't really remember how he
ended.
No,
that's the big conspiracy theory that he was in a dream within a dream within a dream, but he's actually not in a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets to see his kids at the very end.
That's right. Yeah, of course, he does survive at the end. I personally, I believe he's in the real world at the end.
He is, because he's wearing a wedding ring. That's the big clue. It's not the spinning top; it's his wedding ring.
Right. Okay. They all came before Django, and then The Wolf of Wall Street came after Django.
Dead.
What a baby that is.
Doesn't survive in much.
DiCaprio, he doesn't survive much. He's like a modern day Sean Bean, who actually is still going in the modern day. But anything particularly I want to mention for DiCaprio? Has been in about 1 million films, and they're all been massive and successful and all that. But they were the big ones.
I'll tell you a long boring ass film.
Grape.
What?
As a really old film with Johnny Depp, What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Watch that. He puts in some performance in it.
Now, there's 2 really long, boring films that you missed that I actually do like and I shouldn't like. One's Blood Diamond, what a film. And then the other one's The Revenant, which was Oscar bait and everything, and I quite liked it.
I've never seen The Revenant. I never got around to watching it, but now that you say you like it, I might give it a look. But
it's the worst movie that he actually won an Oscar for. He was so much better in other films.
It's just a bit boring. That means Bruce will really like it.
I do like a boring film, you're right. But Blood Diamond, I couldn't connect with Blood Diamond.
Film?
It didn't land with me. Did not land with me.
It means I never have to buy diamonds ever again. It's genius.
Yeah, look at the film. It's not good karma. Anyway, they are our 3 stars, as according to the credits. So we better get back onto things here. Budget for Django Unchained: $100 million. The opening weekend.
Is he farted? Sorry, Chris is farted. He's got a weird look on his face for.
No, my laptop's about to restart, so I had to click buttons to stop it.
Okay. Just for our listeners there, just literally, Chris looked like he was going to confuse and fart.
I thought that's what you said, but I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to react to that news.
Carry on. We know it's not a fart.
Anyway, budget of $100 million. US opening weekend returned $30 million. Final US gross $163 million. A big profit on home soil. Worldwide, not easy to say, $426 million. Big money maker was Django Unchained.
I'll tell you what, this might be controversial right now. Weinstein knows how to make a film, doesn't he?
Successful. You cannot deny he was successful. Yes. Hence how he had the power to do the things that he is accused of doing or did. I'm not sure where we in terms of accusations and actually proven. There we go. That he did.
Jail, isn't he?
You could be right. Django Unchained released, as a segue there, 25th of December 2012. Yes, this film was released in America on Christmas Day, because for some reason the cinemas are open on Christmas Day.
Who goes to the cinema on Christmas Day?
I go Boxing Day.
I'm opening your toys.
Exactly. Or let's go out and watch this murderous rampage about slave owners and all this sort of stuff on Christmas Day. Ho ho ho. But being released on Christmas Day, that is a prime soil for the 2013 award season, the most recent one that we haven't done. One of the reasons that I picked it. So yes, this is all fresh ground for us. At the 2013 Oscars,
Twilight.
Django Unchained received 5 nominations for Django Unchained. Best cinematography, and it lost to The Life of Pi. Best sound editing, and it lost to both Skyfall and Zero Dark 30. I don't know how it was a draw, but it was. Best original screenplay, and it won the Oscar for that. And Best Supporting Actor Christoph Waltz also won the Oscar for his role in Django Unchained. It was nominated for Best Picture along with Amour, Argo, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Les Miserables, Life of Pi, Lincoln, Silver Linings Playbook, and Zero Dark 30. That's a lot of films nominated for Best Picture that year. Can you pick a winner out of it?
Affleck's the bomb. He should have won.
I was going to say Life of Pi, or what's the other one? The Les Miserables. I think that might have won.
Andy nailed it. It was Affleck's year as he won the Oscar.
Affleck's the bomb.
Argo. That was a big one for him. I say Django was nominated for Best Picture in there as well. Bring us on to the 2013 MTV Movie Awards.
Twilight.
To find out there were 7 nominations for Django at the MTV Movie Awards. Best on-screen duo, DiCaprio and Jackson. They lost to Ted and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Best fight, I think it was the big Candyland battle. It wasn't the most explaining in where I read it. So the bloodbath at Candyland. It lost to the Avengers Battle in New York.
Aye.
Which I watched in the last week. And that first Avengers film, very average. The first Avengers film.
That's because Joss Whedon wrote it. He's not all that anymore.
Yeah. It's another one that's out.
We need the Snyder
next
cut.
Nomination, MTV Movie Awards. Best Kiss. That was Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington. They lost to Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence from Silver Linings Playbook. Yeah. Best Villain, Leonardo DiCaprio, lost to Tom Hiddleston in The Avengers. Nominated for Best Male Performance, Jamie Foxx lost to Bradley Cooper as well in the Silver Linings Playbook. But they did win one MTV Movie Award for Best WTF Moment. And that was Django blowing up Candyland with Steven still inside it. That won the MTV Movie Award for
Chris seen that coming though.
WTF Moment of the Year. Best Movie at the MTV Movie Awards that year. Nominees: The Avengers, Django Unchained, Silver Linings Playbook, Ted, and The Dark Knight Rises. What was your movie of the year?
I preempted my Twilight.
Yeah, no Twilight's in there.
Avengers. If you mentioned that much, I'm going to say that Silver, whatever Playbook it's called.
Avengers.
Yeah, it was the Avengers. Yeah. Good shout. And then on to the Razzies. Django not nominated at all.
Twilight.
Razzies that year. Worst Picture of the Year. Your nominees: Battleship.
Oh shit.
Oogie Loves in the Big Balloon Adventure.
I've never heard of that, but now I'm going to watch it.
I did not have to research that one, but it's a hell of a name. That's My Boy. That's Adam Sandler's year nomination. Razzies. 1,000 Words. Don't know what that is. And The Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Twilight.
Has to be Twilight.
It was Twilight. It was worst picture that year. I have not listed them. Not listed them, but there were Golden Globes in there, and Django won another 56 awards around all the awards seasons, including Golden Globes and BAFTAs and things like that too. So lots of awards. On to Django then. A synopsis written by Claudio from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil for us here, and I have literally not even looked at one word of this, so this is going to be off paper as I come here. In 1858, in Texas, the former German dentist, Dr. King Schultz, meets the slave Django in a lonely road while being transported by the slavers Speck brothers. He asks if Django knows the Brittle brothers, and with the affirmative, he buys Django for him. Then Dr. Schultz tells that he is a bounty hunter chasing John Ellis and Roger Brittle and proposes a deal to Django. If he helps him, he would give his freedom, a horse, and $75 for him. Django accepts the deal, and Dr. Schultz trains him to be his deputy. They kill the brothers in Daughtry, and Django tells that he would use the money to buy the freedom of his wife Brumhilda, who is a slave that speaks German. Dr. Schultz proposes another deal to Django. If he teams up with him during the winter, he would give 1/3 of the rewards and help him rescue Brumhilda. Django accepts the new deal, and they become friends. After the winter, Dr. Schultz goes to Gatlinburg and learns that Brumhilda was sold to the ruthless Calvin Candy von Schaft, who lives in the Candyland farm in Mississippi. Dr. Schultz plots a scheme with Django to lure Calvin and rescue Broomhilda from him, but his cruel minion, Stephen, is not easily fooled. It was my selection this week, and as I outlined last week, I picked it because I looked at the year 2013, the award season we've not covered yet, so I thought I'd fill in that gap on my spreadsheet, and this looked like the best option of those available, because I wasn't going to pick a Twilight film or anything like that. That is why I went for it. Both you guys had seen this before, am I correct?
I'd seen
it once,
three
but I
quarters.
couldn't tell you anything about it.
I've only ever seen
I
three
don't
quarters of
remember
it.
any of it.
And you'd watched 3/4 of it, did you say, Andy? Is that what you
Yes.
said? Was it the first 3/4 or the last 3/4?
Last 3 quarters.
The last 3/4, okay. So we both had some, or both, we all had some experience of the film in the past. As is tradition on my selections, I've talked a lot, so Chris, why don't you start with your high points rather than me?
I thought, like, there's a couple of high points at the start, but the first bit has got to be the kiln of the Brittle brothers, where Schultz and Django have this casual conversation going, are you sure it's him? Yeah? Are you positive? I don't know, what does positive mean?
What does positive mean?
He goes, it means you're sure. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Bang.
They were definitely accurate shooters, the two of them. I don't think they missed a shot in the entire film, the two of them. Every single bullet counted, and it definitely killed, and near enough killed everybody. Some of them were maimed, but more often not killed the person they were aiming at. I've got the first scene I picked out as a high point was the first scene in the film, the sale of Django. First of all, you see his tooth wagon coming, which is just a brilliant kind of, I don't know if you want to call it set, but
that's my high point.
It was the wobbly tooth.
I love the wobbly tooth. But they do. It's also a low point. They do focus in a bit too much. He gets a bit too artsy. There's probably about 5 minutes too much footage of the tooth wobbling.
Yeah, well, I certainly we'll touch on that later. How much extra stuff there was in this film, but yeah, the first scene, Andy often tells me I like boring films, as mentioned earlier, but I love tension being built in scenes in films. And this first one, straight away into the first scene, it's like you don't really know what's happening. You start to learn what's happening, and then immediately, someone's got a problem with that, and then the tension rises, and who's going to snap first, and yeah, just the whole way that all plays out, and Django not sure how to play it, and then straight away, like there's just chunks of bodies and blood flying out of people. It's always a good way to get into the film in the first place. So that was my first high point. Any other high points?
Right, I've got to be careful how I word this so it can't be taken out of content. I love the KKK.
I love the KKK, but I love that scene with them just arguing about the eye hole. Can't fucking see the fucking eye holes.
Best scene ever. Just the KKK being utterly stupid, and it's what I liked in the Red Dead games as well. How they're absolutely a bunch of morons, and this is just the most perfect scene ever.
Yeah, it's idiotic. The thing is, they're not actually the KKK. I found that in my research, that the KKK didn't happen until after the full on after the Civil War. So this is like they've got a name that I've now escapes me. I didn't write it down, but it's like another set of people who were like, I don't know, the embryo of the KKK were these people. And that's obviously, this was the first night they tried the hoods clearly as well. My wife spent all day cutting those 30 hoods up for
Like, how does his wife have, like, I don't know, 40 pillowcases? Like, who's got that many pillowcases they can just make eye holes out of?
They definitely got very offended. They were. It was the whole thing of, I'm not trying to point fingers here. It goes.
But yeah, it was just an absolute belter of a scene. A bit of comedy in such a dark film.
Belter of a cameo as well, with Jonah Hill plays just
a
full-on.
He was supposed to be in it a bit more, apparently, but they cut him.
Yeah, I think he was filming something else or something like that. They couldn't quite do it, and they cut the whole thing out. But he was very good in his role. He was kind of in a transitional Jonah Hill. He wasn't quite fat Jonah Hill or skinny. He was kind of in the middle Jonah Hill in this one.
Okay, he looked weird. It looked like his head was like disproportionate to his body.
There's a few movies where he's like that.
Yeah.
On a side segue, it's McLovin's 40th birthday today.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday, McLovin. Thank you for ruining Kill Bill 2 or whatever it was. Whichever one he had the big part. Not Kill Bill 2. What's it called?
Superbad.
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass 2, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was dreadful. Speaking of the KKK people, the scene just before that, where Big Daddy good old Don Johnson, is having a discussion down the stairs with Bettina about how Django here is a free man, and she just cannot understand the concept. And him shouting off camera to someone to try and get assistance. I very much enjoy scenes where like a smart person is trying to get an idiot to understand something.
It was just the way she goes, "Do you want me to treat them like white folk?" No, I never said that.
Yeah, yeah, there's a difference there. Well, yeah.
Who is it? It was Don Johnson, isn't it?
Don Johnson.
Yeah.
He's got a surprisingly decent funny bone in him.
Big Daddy, he lives in the big house. He calls that the big house because Big Daddy lives there or something like that. Say something. I just realised that he plays a big part in being in the KKK in Watchmen, the TV series as well. I think.
Does he?
So, yeah, I've just dawned on me there that I think he is very high up in the KKK in that as well. So,
What's it called? The Dragon. There we go. That's what I said for my last movie.
No, is it a wizard, isn't he? Is it the wizards? Grand wizard?
Oh, it's a wizard. Damn, I thought it was a Grand Dragon.
No, I'm sure it's a wizard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Grand Wizard, Grandmaster Sexy, something like that. I don't know.
Leave it in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's Grand Wizard, but I could be wrong. My next high point, which I think is definitely my highest point. The KKK scene's funny, but my most favourite thing in this entire film is Stephen, Samuel Jackson in this film. His first scene, the incredulous reaction to seeing Django on that nag. Why is he on that? And then he's going to be staying in the big house, and then he just carries on. And then when you see him like turning it off later on, when he's back of house, he turns into like actual Samuel Jackson, like scary Samuel Jackson. He's really good. And then the scene with him and Calvin in the library and all that as well. But yeah, just the role of Stephen is absolutely hilarious in his Uncle Tom role, being an absolute suck up and sycophant is just incredible. And he couldn't have played it any better. And I think if Christoph Waltz hadn't been so good, then he'd have been getting a lot more praise for how good he was in a supporting role in this film, personally.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next high point, is the scene after that where Candy smashes the glass and he's losing his shit. It's got to be like an amazing piece of acting from Leo. And you just kind of like, you're actually scared of him because he's been like quite aloof so far. He's been quite like easy going, and then he just like that just flips. Yeah,
because it was like it was because I feel like you had the scene where he's full on, I'm trying to sell my slaves to this guy, and then Stephen's like, come listen to me here, and then Stephen just in that scene just convinces him, and he comes back in straight off, right, everyone point guns at them, I'm going to kill this guy if he doesn't like do the deal I want to deal. And of course in that scene is one of the most famous, I don't know what we would call it, goofs that was kept in ever, where it almost looks like he tries to do it when he slams his hand down on the table fully onto a glass. I don't know what he was trying to do otherwise. Full on smashes the glass in his hand and cuts his hand.
The question I have is, like, he'd obviously cut himself, kept going, but then he wipes his hand on the woman's face. Hopefully that's still not his real blood.
Having read the trivia for that, that's one thing I do remember, was he cut it and he carried on and he finished that scene. And as he was doing it, I don't know who first, but allegedly him and Kerry Washington came up with the idea saying, you should totally rub the blood all over my face. And then Tarantino being like, oh, that's great, we'll try that. So they put fake blood on his hand. So it wasn't his real blood. Because there is obviously a couple of cuts away from him in that. So yeah, they did later on put fake blood on his hand, and then that's what he wiped on her face. But yeah, it's certainly... I've got my title for my nomination here for a high point was just Calvin Candy becomes unhinged. Now, I've still not seen the Russell Crowe film.
What film?
This is kind of how I imagine he goes in that one here, which is like, just all of a sudden he's a different person altogether. And DiCaprio full on turns on the DiCaprio, I think, in this film as well. At this point of the film.
It was like nice to see that Schultz has been really calm through the whole film. He's always been in control. I've seen him scared and panicking.
Yeah, and it's good to see him later on. Like you say, he's always been very. The whole way through, Schultz is just, I know what I'm doing. I've got a plan. I know what I'm doing here. And at the end, he just gets pushed too far in like his last scene, I should say, where no, I just can't take it anymore. I just had to. Couldn't resist. But before, essentially around that time, the Candyland Massacre is my next high point. Where
that's my last one as well.
There's bloodbaths, and this is an actual like bloodbath. The scenes where the entire wall is just blood up of it and all that.
It's not quite Kill Bill level where they changed the colour of the screen to hide it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have to go that far. But it's just because for like they essentially get to Candyland with an hour of the film to go. And then this is about 20 odd minutes after they got there, and it's just been since then literally just been a dinner, and they've just sat around this table for about 20 minutes of the film, which we'll get onto in a bit, I think. But yeah, they've built up so much at this point that when the action finally sets off and they end up killing like 50 people or something like that in this one scene, it's a good payoff to all that like dinner that you were just sitting through. Any other high points? I've got one.
What I've got to add to that is during that shootout, is that one guy just lying there dying, getting shot from both people. Fucking shot me.
I'm sure
I think he still lives.
Yeah, there's still one guy making a noise at the end. You're right. You could definitely make an edit of Django that's a comedy film. Like you could cut out because it's so long and there's so many bits that are funny and little bits involved. You could make a comedy out of this. I'm pretty sure. Andy, have you got any other high points?
I was like Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz.
Like pretty much every scene he's in is brilliant.
Yeah, he just has like a charisma. He draws you in. Anytime he's talking, you always feel like he starts talking. You never know where he's going to end up whenever he's talking.
But yeah, his whole like basically his like first scene where he walks out of the saloon, because you don't really know who he is at the time until then, and then suddenly it's like, how the fuck is he getting out of this? And then he does. Brilliant.
Yeah, very smart. Then my last high point is just the whole kind of idea of horrible people getting their comeuppance in a film. Like Tarantino's very like this in lots of his films. It's like cathartic, just like Inglourious Bastards. I'm gonna make a film about the Nazis where they all get it really bad, and then I'll make Django. I'm gonna make a film where all these racist slave owners get it really bad, and it's just there's something enjoyable about watching people who that's a horrible character right there, just getting it. Like just getting the worst deaths possible and just making horrible things happen to them. It's an enjoyable thing to see in a film for me. Is that us for high points?
Thanks, so that's me.
Okay, on the low points then. Andy, I feel like you've probably stored up a couple since you've been quiet in the high points.
Right. This is a biggie for me. The action. The action was my low point in this. I actually liked the slow parts, and I always found like you guys like saying the Candyland Massacre. It's just too over the top, and it's what Tarantino always gets wrong in every one of his films. Is okay, it's cool to see a body blow up in an action film, but not when it's this type of film. It really just takes it a million miles out of it. It's like I'm watching a film about slaves.
Blood splatters and stuff.
Yeah, even like the very first bit, it's like Christoph Waltz pulling like the gun out, killing the two guys, and it's just like the whole fucking head blows off, and then the horse just explodes. It's just like, wait there. Whereas if that was just a normal thing, I would still be in the zone. I really felt the action took me out of what he was trying to do.
Okay.
So yeah, subtle action was needed in this film. Toned it down.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Well, mine isn't really a low point. It's just a question. Like the guy that died right at the start, James Remar. Why does he play two characters? I mean, and the second one was, I think it's called Butch. Looks like he recognises Django from the start, and it just confused me. Did he like blow his head back together?
Like Michael Parks appears later on as one of the three mining company guys. There's like at least 3 Tarantino films where he plays 2 characters in it for no reason. Like,
I will explain this in a later point for Chris. I will sort him out.
All right, okay, cool. We'll get to that later on. I'm kind of the same as Chris. I don't have low points so much as I have kind of questions. Like you mentioned the scene with him and the sheriff, like shooting the sheriff for $200 and all that. This film is 2 hours and like 3/4 long. It's massively long. Did we really need that scene? Like him and Django going to the bar, him pouring a pint, scooping the head off, having a wee chat, which could have been anywhere else, and all that. It's an extra 15 minutes of the film. That wasn't.
This is the bit
of building.
This is the film. This is the bits I like on this film. Mm-hmm. Like,
that's the thing. Yeah, I'm not saying they're bad at all.
Like you take the action out. These are the good bits. There is other bits you can cut out, like how the film should have actually ended is just with Christoph Waltz shooting him. That's it. End. The last 45 minutes was not needed. It really is just...
He kills everybody in Candyland and then gets captured and then goes away and then comes back and kills the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's like, why couldn't he just have killed everybody at once? Like, why did he have to be captured? Like,
that end bit.
Yeah. But yeah, you could definitely take out 5 minutes of everything in this film, make it an hour shorter, and it's just as good. But like, I eat this stuff up. Like, this is the sort of stuff I was glued for the whole time, but it's too long for me to 100% enjoy it. I don't think.
There's like random bits you didn't need, like, you know that scene where he has a flashback of her going, "They call me Hildy," and then it just cuts away. It's like,
Yeah.
why? He just went,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, she's called him Hilda. They call her Hildy." Didn't
Like
need the random cutaway.
At the very, very, very end of the film, he does everything. We get to the end of the film, and all of a sudden you get a
Oh,
flashback
the show
of him,
potty.
and him being like, him with that. That's weird. Yeah, no, but they get a flashback of him and Schultz going, "They're going to call you the fastest gun in the South."
Yeah.
And it cuts back to him, and then the film ends. It's like, why? Why is that bit? Like, what was that for?
It just reminded me of another little point in the fucking show potty. There's no need for that. They could have just went, "Let's just get out of here. Let's go."
But it really does, like, especially even when she's like all excited when the thing explodes, it turns into a pure comedy at the end. Just going, "Oh my god," and then just like him just showing off his horse. I mean, the horse that deserves the praise is Christoph Waltz's horse that bows to everybody.
Fritz.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What a horse!
I guess it's a laugh. I don't know if the one that was dancing was the one, but one of the trivia notes was that Jamie Foxx used his own horse in the film. So the horse that he most often rides on, well, he owned it for 4 years prior to filming. It was actually his own horse. So I would assume the one he's doing all the tricks on would be his own horse.
That's probably why it's in there, just so he can get his own horse in.
Yeah.
So, look what I can do. Look, I mean, I think the horse is called Cheetah. I think his actual horse. So yeah. Another one I've got that's similar to my last point, which is when we get D'Artagnan, not Dogtagnan, because I keep wanting to call him Dogtagnan. D'Artagnan, the whole scene where they find him escaping and then they have an argument and then he gets eaten by the dogs, totally not needed, like at all. I know it gives Schultz a bit of a flashback, oh, Candy's a bad guy, but still, it's an extra chunk of the film that isn't needed.
And he's a bad guy because he's got fucking slaves.
Yeah.
Like, that's the bad guy, and he's making them fight to the death.
Why is he offended by somebody getting killed?
Yeah, was it Jamie Foxx trying to explain it? He's never seen someone get torn apart by dogs before. I guess just.
But he has shot somebody's head off from close range.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the difference?
But yeah, so it adds a question mark next to the character of Schultz there a bit as well. But yeah, so it's another bit I don't think was necessary. But again, let's say I enjoyed everything that was happening in the film. Nothing I'm like, this is bad. I'm just like, why is it so much?
I've got one bad bit for you. Like, all the soundtrack is spot on, apart from one fucking song. And it's that song where I'm pretty sure he's just escaped from the cage to then ride back to Candyland. It plays some fucking hip-hop song, which is just utter pish. There's
another instance earlier where a hip-hop song comes bang right in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it's a wee bit shorter, and it doesn't quite tonally feel right, does it?
I basically, other than the first song,
they had were good.
Yeah, other than the first song, the rest of it was shit. The soundtrack was god awful. The first song was banger.
The Django theme is good, and then they have like a song about his name is King is quite good as well. But yeah, after
the rest of them are just all shit. It's like pointless.
It gives it a unique feel, but it's wrong.
Yeah. It's like when Black Panther does it as well. Great African music, and then suddenly they gangster it up, and there's no need for it.
Yeah, that's actually kind of gangster it up.
It might just be the three of us don't have a fandom for gangster rap. Might be the.
It could be.
Maybe if we were more into it. Maybe a bit of Beastie Boys in there I might like to better. I don't know. I do have two actual.
We're so white.
Yes, exactly. Two actual low points. One of them has to be the lowest point. Is Quentin Tarantino's acting.
Oh yeah, it's god awful. Yes, I was literally about to say that. He needs to stay at his films.
He is quite good in things. Like in From Dusk Till Dawn, he's really good at the character he plays in it, and he's okay in Reservoir Dogs. But he doesn't look right. He just looks like, I don't know, like a California like tourist.
Yeah.
Like he should be in City Slickers or something.
Yeah.
He should be,
trying to play a weird Australian.
Yeah, he decides, oh, my co-star guy, who I can't remember why he cast him. There's some reason why I cast the Australian dude. So, oh, I'd better be Australian as well for some reason. And
he basically sounds like the guy who goes, "Welcome to Jumanji."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Welcome to Django. But yeah, that's the lowest point. And the other one is just Django in the big Candyland bit decides, oh, he's just shot him. The only chance I have now is to start killing people. So then just runs off and just leaves his wife.
Yep.
Just like
fuck her.
and it goes around just shooting everybody. She could be dead within minutes of him leaving that room, and it's like a very, very poor decision. And of course, the capturer, but every other Hollywood star, action hero, all that stuff would just grab the wife and say, "Right, come with me. I'm going to protect you as we run through this house." But no, he decides, "I'm going to go hide under a bookcase or a shelf, whatever it was he hid under." But they were my 2 low points.
I'm out.
I'm out.
All the low points done. Better get on to point 4 on the podcast then. Our statistics.
I thought I heard a shit.
You are very much correct, Chris. There was quite a lot of swearing in this, but not as much as you would probably expect in a Tarantino film. There were 14 shits. With this one, give me a bit of leeway. There could be a few more, a few less. Well, maybe not a few less, but maybe a few more. But I counted 14. Andy, it's the Wild West. Any shits on your radar?
Here we go. This could be one of the best.
Strap in, boys. Here we go.
This could be one of the best sneaky shits I've ever found in a film. Right. Okay. So I'll take you back. I'll paint the picture for you. Imagine you're there with your wife Broomhilda in the water while you're getting cleaned. Right behind her is quite clearly some bubbles.
Oh God!
So I'm thinking she's either most innocently had a fart, or she straight up just had a poop in the river. So when you watch that scene back, bubbles behind her. It's unfortunate they kept them in because it doesn't look like anything else. You know what that is.
I'm trying to think of what would be the logic of going for a shit in the river rather than just like in the bushes.
So it just gets floated away.
It comes out.
Yeah.
It's like there, you have to deal with it. Like, how do you get away from it? And it probably follows you. It's like,
no, it's a river, isn't it? It goes downstream.
Very go large and it bobs into his mouth.
Oh God, no.
What a segment we have here.
Yeah.
This is staying for season 4.
Was that it? That the limits to which where I thought I might get here was being the Wild West.
I'm sure there was a few more shits, but that was my best one. I'm keeping the best.
Cool. It's definitely the best one. I'll give you that. Other swears, 28 only. But again, there might be a few. There was a lot of goings on when the shooting started, so there could have been the odd one in there that I missed. However, what I also counted, not exactly a swear. I thought it sounds like Chris might have done it as well. I counted the N-word because I knew going in that it was going to be. Did you get north of 100, Chris?
Oh yes.
I got north of 100 too, but only just. I was counting them as they were happening, going along, and the last scene gave me my 101st N-word. The internet
counted them. Yeah.
Right, me too. So the internet tells me a different number. So, right, okay. 116 is what I read. So somewhere I missed 15 of them. That seems like a high number to miss.
I kind of feel like Quentin Tarantino made this film just so he could say that word. Because it pops up in a lot of his films, I think.
It does. He has a lot of black friends, so I believe. He excuses himself.
That does not make it okay. I tried that once.
And you can't go back there anymore, can you?
No.
But quite serious. I believe that is he grew up around black people, so he claims that's how he can get away with it because in his youth.
Doesn't this film claim the record for the most uses of that word?
Nah.
I think it's high. It must be higher. Like I reckon some films where there's a lot. It's a long film and it's say quite frequently, so 100.
I'll tell you what.
Go back and check 12 Years a Slave. It's probably used quite a lot in that as well.
I'll tell you what, this is my ignorance on all this thing. I did not know Jimmy was a word for the N-word as well.
As in short for James. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Was it Jimmy?
Yeah, they call him a Jimmy.
Yeah.
I was like, when was that a thing?
Because in Scotland, for those who are not in Scotland,
exactly.
We have a thing called a CU Jimmy hat. So,
it's a whole different meaning in this film.
Yeah, a tartan cap with ginger hair around about it. So no, that's different context for
the
name, a CU Jimmy hat now.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson was called everybody a Jimmy. So I was just like,
I think we should now adopt it as followers of our podcast, all of our Jimmys out there.
Get your hats on.
Scottish thing.
It's a Scottish thing.
Jimmy. Yeah, so the 10-point podcast Jimmys.
But who knew?
Anyway, I did not know. Yeah, I've watched this film before and I had not remembered that. So. Oh, brilliant. On to the other usual ones I kept. Explosions. I counted 5, but 3 of them were the tooth cart blowing up because we got it 3 times in a row. So there were obviously Candyland and something else exploded as well near the end that I am now. Oh,
guy.
Quentin Tarantino did. He blew
Oh
up.
yeah.
So they were the 5. I counted 52 deaths. I was quite closely watching, and I gave a couple of benefit of doubt when it came to Candyland. The internet tells me 69 deaths. Now, I think that's a massive exaggeration. I don't know where they get an extra 17 deaths.
Chris's favourite number.
So I think my count of 52 is a lot closer to being right. Was there a dead animal in the film?
Hey.
We could not get past the first scene without there being a dead horse in the film. So, keeping on track with that one, a dead animal, as always. And did they say the thing? Did they say Django Unchained?
Nah.
Once.
They did not.
Did they not?
No, never say it. I had a feeling Chris might count Django's. Did you count Django's?
I did not. I'm going to say 104.
I did not count them because I thought Chris might count Django.
Can't just throw out numbers like
I
104.
counted one specific thing that's appeared for the first time, I don't know, in about 2 seasons. There was one Wilhelm scream.
There was.
It was. I've got brackets. Tooth cart next to
yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
it was
Well, I'm happy.
the KKK running.
Was that your attempt at the Wilhelm scream?
Aye.
Yes, it's good to have. I feel like you say that it's a long time coming, and a long time in between, but it happens semi-frequently now. I think.
I know.
Scream for you.
I know,
when he
I
was
stopped doing it. And
Season 1 he stopped, and then it's just every film he's on now. Every other film is a Wilhelm scream.
It does seem. Yeah.
I was partially looking for films for it so I could actually count it, and I never found it.
Andy was like, "Oh, the cheat was MGM films or something like that." Was the
Lucasfilms, yes, Lucasfilms.
Yeah. It's in every Star Wars film, so I'll do that next year.
Phantom Menace coming soon. Is that us for stats? I think we've covered them all. I believe so. On to the quiz then. Chris, give us the quiz.
Right, Bruce is winning this because...
I never throw properly to you.
Well, you said Andy.
I said Bruce is winning this because I did not pay attention.
Oh, God.
Should be feeling. I can't remember what it started with last week. We'll go with Bruce. Why not? Why was little Jodie punished?
Oh, I know it, but I don't. But it escapes my brain. Why was Jodie getting punished? Something to do with cheese. Did she steal something? I can't remember.
She broke eggs.
Eggs. That's what it was. Yes.
Andrew, how long has it been since Schultz practiced dentistry?
5 years.
Oh, you got it.
I think it was at 5. All right.
It was. What's the name of the hero in the German Tale, Bruce?
So Brumhilda is the woman. The hero, I don't know. It wasn't Django. I thought that's where we were going to go with the story. I thought you were going to say the hero's called Django. Wilhelm.
Nah, Siegfried. God, what's happened to you?
Oh, no. I'm all over the place.
I'm expecting Andy to get this one because it was his favourite scene. What's the name of the clan member's wife that cut the eye holes in the bags?
Oh, shit, I don't know. Jemima.
Oh, Jenny, you only far away.
Oh. God damn it!
What state does Schultz and Django go to after coming down from the mountain?
It said Mississippi across the screen. Was it that one?
Yeah, that's a state, isn't it?
Well, it is,
State
yeah, but I mean, there were in a few states. I couldn't remember what happened when.
Yeah, I'm only saying it because it just popped up in big, massive white letters.
Yeah.
Like, surely somebody might have got it. It has been mentioned. What was the name of the slave mauled by the dogs?
D'Artagnan.
What's the other one?
D'Artagnan.
The Muskehounds.
Yeah.
Why does Steven save Django?
Why does Steven save Django?
I'm getting his balls cut off.
Why
does he save him?
Well, because they usually bleed to death. Is it that one? Or because the woman wanted him to go to the mining company?
That's the one I was going for.
Right.
Yeah, he wanted him to suffer down the mines. And Andrew, what did Django and Brumhilda have burned into their faces and why?
Because they're runaways.
That's the one. There we go. I think Andrew won that one.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, boy. I know my slaves.
Very good. A good quiz.
At
Nice
the very last episode, I'm going to do like a winner takes all because I've lost all sense of who's won the war.
I'm not going to catch up in time doing the pointies either, I don't think, but I will try and keep track when as we get further through that, because at the moment we're keeping track, but I've got to. On to point 6 on the podcast, we are running out of time, so we're going to have to hurry here. Movies within movies. I cheated massively this one because I knew Tarantino would intentionally do a whole bunch of actual movies and references, and I wrote down the titles that I recognised from a list that I found, with the exception of one. So this is based on a film called Django, which is the first one, obviously. But I put Austin Powers because he definitely picked an Austin Powers outfit when Django got to was like he intentionally made him look like Austin Powers in that. But other ones that this film apparently references one way or another: Gone with the Wind, Seven Samurai, Fistful of Dollars, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West, Shaft, A Fistful of Dynamite, Clockwork Orange, Deliverance, Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and probably like another 50 films. But that's what I wrote down. I'm not saying I spotted all of that, but that's what I've got written. Chris, movies within movies. What have you got?
Samuel was in Triple X about 6 episodes ago. And apparently James Remar was in Blade, Trinity, but I can't remember him being in it.
He's the FBI cop.
I've got him in
also in
Dredd as
Judge
well.
Dredd.
He was a guy in the first 10 minutes. And Jonah Hill makes a small cameo and was in 21 Jump. I've got pilots written here because it's 21 Jump.
Classic podcast moment. That was only supposed to listen to the podcast. That's the reason I picked 21 Jump Street.
As for us, Andy is the easiest one to place. He's the sheriff that says snowy snow because it's totally something he would say. Like Zoomy Zoom for snipers. I put Bruce Schultz just because you talk quite a lot. Yeah. I struggled because there's not a lot of people that aren't racist in this film, and I didn't want to post myself as a racist. So I put myself as the marshal because I am the law.
I didn't recast, but I have got a few more recurring things, people and things that Chris didn't pick up on.
There's so many people there, I couldn't be bothered going through them all.
I now cannot remember what we did before, but Bruce Dern was in one scene in this film, and I can't remember what film
Burbs.
Before. The Burbs, there we go. Bruce Dern. He was the friend who fell off the roof.
Yes, that Chris kicked off about.
Yeah, he's one of the brothers from the beginning of this. Goats come back and do it again. That must be like 4 in a row now. I'm getting scared with these goats, and I think I have summoned something with Black Phillip here. And the last one, now this is complicated, but bear with me here. So the way Calvin Candy dies, he gets shot through a white carnation, I think it is, on his chest. It's the exact way that the character of Curly dies in an old Western, title I've not got written down, and the person who plays Curly is Jack Palance, who it was Jack Palance in City Slickers, and then the sequel to City Slickers, he plays whatever character he played in that's brother, who's called Curly Bill or something like that as well. So, in some sort of weird workaround way, this film also connects to Jack Palance from City Slickers. It's not really a recurring person, but I thought I'd put it in this little segment here, knowing that Chris would definitely not find that. But I'm glad I got Bruce Dern. Andy, movies within movies. Follow that if you can.
So Chris wanted to know why Butch recognised, Butch died at the start and then Speck at the end was a bit, why is he looking? Well, let me tell you, Chris, it's because he was actually looking for somebody to take part in a tournament called Mortal Kombat. He was literally there looking for the best fighter to take part. So he was first transporting slaves to try and find the best one. Then he died, but as we know, Raiden doesn't actually die. So went back, I remember him. But then he dies again, and then he resurrects himself into Judge Dredd, try and find the best fighter again, because there's a lot of good fighters in that film. Then he resurrects himself again, because Blade's a pretty damn good fighter, but he ends up not finding anybody good and finds Johnny Cage instead, so there you go. James Remar crosses everything. He is Raiden.
He's like Kevin Bacon.
There's also an ex-porn star called Hugo Posh.
God.
And the girl next door.
Yep.
Stick with Andy. Oh yeah, you mentioned that last time. Stick with Andy for Andy's hypotheticals, point number 7.
Right, this is a really hard-ass hypothetical, because as we know, I like to pick things from a film here. So, hypothetically, Chris, if you owned a ton of land
Right.
and you weren't allowed to grow cotton, what else would you grow and why?
If I wouldn't grow anything, I'll just turn it into like a big paintball thing, or like a big what's that called, airsoft or something like that, or dirt bike or something like that.
So you just
Don't have
make
to
it
grow
into
anything.
you just make it into your own Candyland. You wouldn't grow anything.
Like a proper, like maybe like a small theme park or something.
Right, so
Petting zoo.
you just use your
Petting
land.
zoo for Bruce's goats.
And Bruce is gonna So you're not going to grow anything. You're just going to let things graze and then suddenly have a spawn of hell goats.
Yeah. No, I'd just turn it into like a like airsoft or something like that. Just put stuff in it.
Okay,
But
Make some
right.
money off of it.
Okay. And Bruce, you would just Benzo.
Petting zoo would do me. Yeah, I've got enough plants in here anyway. There's plants everywhere, so I don't need to grow things outside as well when there's lots
Okay,
of plants inside.
Because what I was going to do, if somebody had actually picked something pretty bad, I was then going to drop back in the slaves. So I feel like Chris.
Who's going to work there? Yeah.
So Chris has actually got a really good thing now. So he's just basically got a shooting range for slaves. So whether you go in and pay to shoot them, or they are actually just taking part and having a good time.
Oh, having a good time, obviously.
That's what I thought. You've just basically.
They're that good that they're like the gladiators.
Ah,
yeah.
You have to defeat them. Like Takeshi's Castle, there we go.
right.
You've got to get past the...
Good call.
It's still a bit of a
gladiators.
cruel thing to Takeshi's Castle when you watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
And just note, it's not the slaves that are being petted at my petting farm. I'm actually not.
They're just feeding the animals. That's fine.
Or maybe. On to point 8, nominations. I pretty much could have nominated just about every category here, so I will let Andy go first, and I'll try and fill in gaps in between.
Best entrance, Christoph Waltz, winner straight off. Best inanimate object, the tooth.
Yeah, I've got that.
I'll have that as well.
I'm gonna try and work out best death.
It was tough.
I'm gonna go Leo. Leo dies well in a film. It's kind of one of them ones you know it's coming, but then you don't know if it's coming, but then it does come.
Yeah.
Which then leads me nicely onto worst plan. Trying to buy a Mandingo fighter from a slave trader when you could have just spent 12 grand just to buy the woman, because Leo seemed well up for that deal. He seemed like it was a better deal for him. And I know they tried to explain around it. Bullshit.
It's almost like they knew that Hildy's not worth 12 grand, so we can't.
I know, that's
we can't
pretty
go,
much.
We can't go pay this money that we have. We can't go pay that for your wife.
Yeah, we've got to come up with this elaborate plan and get another guy out of it at the same time. Then it's worth investment.
Was the plan to pull out of the purchase of the fighter? Like, I feel like they didn't get onto that stage where they'd agreed, okay, 12 grand was for this fighter, and then they'd be like,
they got nine for the fighter, and they said, well, we'll make it 12 if you throw in the German speaker girl as well.
Yeah, that's what he was
I
going to
think
do.
that's
So,
what they were going to say.
but genuinely, he would have had to
Sam
follow
L.
through that deal because he needed the paperwork. For that deal to go perfectly fine, he would have had to put it over.
yeah, so he still was going to buy a fighter.
So worst plan ever.
Yeah. I had pretty much every Christoph Waltz plan as being a good plan, is what I've got.
Except from that last one.
Flawlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. Like at the end of this film, I thought, right, he knows everything. He's like going to do it, and like actually, Leo's going to be a wanted guy, and he's going to pull out the papers. Like this is going to be the twist. Nah.
Oh, that would be a good one actually. Yeah.
But nothing.
Yeah.
No twist. So the end of that last plan was the worst plan because don't try and shoot him because you knew he was dead anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did. Going into it. Yeah.
That's pretty much
Chris,
my
any
three big
nominations?
ones.
Well, I've gone for best actors, Christoph Waltz. Leo was a really close second, just because I have one scene. My best death was the sheriff's, because that death itself wasn't great, but the aftermath of him explaining why he did it and coming out and then saying to the marshal, you owe me $200. I just thought it was funny.
That's the worst German
my
accent
best
ever.
Object was also...
That was the worst German accent ever.
You can't speak English with a German accent. I couldn't take my eyes off the tooth whenever it was on. Like, especially when the first was out of town, it was just bobbing a bit like fuck. I've got one more. Best quote was when Hildy meets Django again for the first time and faints, and Schultz just says, "You silver-tongued devil." I thought it was really
That's all
funny.
he said.
I've got best song as Dr. Schultz's personal song, but now you speak about it, wasn't that great? So
Django.
fuck it, take it out.
Right, I'll fill in the gaps. I initially had Django as best song, but then I think we're missing out here is when the KKK whatever it's come riding down the hill. There's that
Valkyrie.
classical piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a banger of a horn that
It
makes in
wasn't
Warzone.
Valkyries. It was a different one. But anyway, I can't find what the title of the song was. I was looking there, but yeah, that classical piece of music is my nomination. Most unexpected, Jonah Hill. I did not expect him to be in this film, despite having seen it before. I've got worst costume, but it could be best costume is him dressed as Austin Powers for some reason. I'll go with Chris on the best actor with Christoph Waltz. Best villain, Calvin Candy von Shaft. And I've got the best line, which is the one I kind of paraphrase in real life, which always I find is a good line in a film, which was, "You had my curiosity, now you have my attention." It is a good line, so I've got that as the best line in the film. Point 9 is the moral of the story, which I don't even have anything written down for, never mind the haiku. So I'm going to have a quick think while you guys give me your moral of the story.
Right,
Chris,
I'll go first because mine's is
Sorry,
good. Right, here it is. Your wife is not worth $12,000.
Yeah. I've got a couple. 3 actually. There are no limits to what a man will do for the love of his life.
Oh.
Beer is the ultimate reward.
Whoa. Let's take it back. He won't pay $12,000 for her.
Wait, he did.
Well, he didn't.
He technically did.
No, he didn't.
Technically, he did.
He didn't want to just buy. He wanted to get a prize fighter out of it as well. It's not just paying 12 grand for her.
Doesn't matter.
He's actually paying 3 grand for her. Carry on.
Fuck it, doesn't matter. And also, slavery and racism is bad.
That's typically the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Is you'll get what's coming to you. Essentially, is the moral of the story. I think everyone who deserves it gets it in this film. I think might be the best way to look at it. But yeah, I'm not writing a haiku down, so I'll have to stick with that. I could probably try and do one, but I maybe at some point add it later on. Anyway, 10-point rating is a 10th point on the 10-point podcast. It was my selection. I'll go first. I had watched this a couple of years ago, despite the fact my Blu-ray is still in the packet, so I must have been streaming it on a streaming service. And I really enjoyed it that last time, and I thought, this is amazing, it's perfect. And this time, it felt too long, but like I said earlier, I enjoyed everything. Like, everything that's going on, I'm enjoying this, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying it. But I can't go higher than a 7 out of 10 for it, because it was good, but I did not enjoy it quite as much as if it was really, really good. So Chris, what have you got? Or what are you rating?
It's got the right amount of humour and action for me. Apart from that one shitty song, the soundtracks I thought was all right. The acting is great with like standard performances from Christoph Waltz and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's not a complicated story, which to follow either. He wants to get his wife back. It's just an overall enjoying movie, so I gave it an 8.
And Andy, what are you rating out of 10?
Right, strap in. Here we go. This is Christopher Nolan territory.
Oh no.
Quentin Tarantino should stop making films. He shouldn't even get to his 10th film. Fuck him.
He's only got one more to go.
No, fuck him. Because I would say every single Quentin Tarantino film I watch, I enjoy. Then he fucking ruins them himself. He just takes it that little bit too far. He did it with Pulp Fiction. He did it with this. It's just like this could have easily 45 minutes off the end. Easy. Everything in it, like Bruce said, is good. He just needs somebody else to go, maybe cut that a little bit. Cut that a little bit. He's got a good idea. He's a decent director, but my God, his ego. So, because of his ego, he absolutely ruined this film, so it only gets a 3.
Oh.
Only from Andy. So,
Really?
quite easy enough maths. So the official rating on the 10-point podcast is a 6 out of 10 for Django Unchained. And that was the last pick of the particular round of picks, which brings us on to Chris's last selection of the season before we switch into our new seasonal formats coming in season 4.
No pressure, Chris.
So Chris, this is your last
about
one before the
times.
pattern changes. So
He's literally been thinking. I can see his brain's been tweaking.
Is it
No,
still
I've
best
got
of
it
British?
locked down. Yes.
Still Still right. Okay.
There was a few that I could have picked, but I've decided to go for. I don't know what year it is, but Fracture with Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling.
Oh God,
Don't
what
even
a mistake
recognise
that was.
Fracture.
You've confused.
What kind of film is it? While I look for it.
It's a thriller. The premise is that this guy kills his wife, and he says to the lawyer, "I want you to prove that I killed my wife," kind of thing.
Okay.
I knew. I don't think you'd have seen it. I assumed Andy's seen it.
Aye,
Seen it.
seen
To be fair,
everything.
any film's a mistake if it's not his film.
Yeah, I've never seen this one. This one has slipped past me. Not that I've seen a lot of Ryan Gosling I've seen a few Anthony Hopkins films. So there you go.
I
Fracture.
like a really big English actor. I know he's not English, he's Welsh, but
You're best of
actor
British.
Oscar winner.
Yeah, you're best of British. I don't think it's got
How
one
do you-
English actor in it.
no, Rachel Weisz has got John Hannah's Scottish.
Still on Fracture
Gerard
as well.
Butler. No, I'm going through all the list of my people I've used. Gerard
Right,
Butler,
okay.
Scottish. Christian Bale, he's Welsh.
He's British, yeah.
Jude Law, what's her face? Lily Cole, they're English.
Most of Aliens is English, apart from Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, John
Yeah.
Hurt was a really big actor.
And then, of course, what do you call it's in there? What's it called? Old.
Ian Holm.
No, the film you picked with Borat. What was it called?
Oh, yeah.
Grimsby.
Yeah.
It's in there.
I forgot what he's called now.
Mark
Sacha
Strong.
Baron Cohen and
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong, yeah. So there you go. There's quite a few English actors. A couple of Scottish, a few Welsh.
But I'll
One
tell you
Irish,
what,
Colin
I'm
Farrell.
not going to hide my cards. This film is shite. Strap in for next week.
Okay. Yes, I've never seen it. So everybody has 7 days to find and watch and come back to us for Fracture next week on the 10 Point Podcast.